For the last couple of weeks, the gaming news has been dominated by talk of microtransactions. We've already done a video on one microtransaction whale this week, and he was a guy who just could not stop spending on them. But he didn't spend 10 grand on microtransactions, or start doing it when he was 13.
I think a lot of us started our bad habits at 13.
This is a terrible habit though.
In an interview with Kotaku, a gamer who went by the handle Ken's Gold has shared his story about microtransactions and how he became addicted to them. He is 19 years old. To prove his claim, Ken's Gold shared his bank statements and receipts with Kotaku to prove that he had, in fact, spent a whopping $13,500.25 on microtransactions over a period of 6 years. I like how specific they've been, how much detail they've gone to. They've got exact amount of cents that he spent on microtransactions. It's a true number. They're not just pulling out the air. The 25 cents is in there for a reason.
Must be legitimate.
Remember, he is 19 years old. Currently. As in, he was a teenager under the age of 18 during most of those 6 years. Ken's Gold said he bought his first microtransaction at the age of 13 for a browser-based city builder game similar to Clash of Clans. Not long after this, Ken's Gold began playing the now defunct mobile game The Hobbit: Kingdoms of Middle-earth. Released in 2013, Kingdoms of Middle-earth was derided by the gaming community for its obnoxious pay-to-win model where you could pay to speed up your progress and everything was locked behind a cooldown timer. But what made Kingdoms of Middle-earth especially unpopular was the PvP mechanics, which let other players loot your resources unless you paid real money to protect them.
Ken's Gold said he enjoyed the game, however, and he wanted to remain competitive, which meant spending hundreds of dollars on microtransactions in order to do so. In the summer of 2015, Ken's Gold had spent around $800 on Kingdoms of Middle-earth, as well as an additional $4,116 on mobile games Clash of Clans and Age of Warring Empire. Christ almighty, they've got shite names, these games. Age of Warring Empire. He said, quote, "It never feels like you're making a good decision when you spend that $100. But at the time, I was like, what else am I going to spend it on? There weren't really any repercussions to enforce, like, yo, idiot, stop." Just maybe like your own brain would be a good idea. That's the kind of thing that people say to themselves to stop them doing stuff. Yeah. Hey, idiot, don't do that.
You've got an inner voice that tells you, like, this is right, this is wrong. At that age, when you're 13, 14, maybe you haven't developed that. Maybe you haven't had enough talks from your parents to tell you what is right and what's wrong. Maybe you haven't got enough people with level heads around you to say, oh, hang on a minute, you shouldn't be doing that. You can see maybe why he's developed this problem from an early age. If he hasn't had the right people, the right input into his habits and to tell them to stop doing that, stop being an idiot.
Exactly.
At the height of his spending, Ken's Gold was a high school student working a part-time job in a local cafe. He'd earn around $300 to $400 every couple of weeks, and he reckons he spent about 90% of every paycheck on microtransactions. Ken's Gold said his family started to worry about his spending habits, and his mum even cut off the internet in an attempt to stop his spending. But because he owned a smartphone with a data connection, the spending just kept on going. He even went as far as getting a second job to fuel his addiction.
In 2016, Kingdoms of Middle-earth released an update which made fundamental changes to how the game worked, and it soured a lot of the player base, including Ken's Gold and his friends. With no reason left to play anymore, Ken's Gold and his friends made the move into PC gaming, where they started to play games like Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Smite, both of which have optional microtransactions. According to Ken's Gold, the microtransactions in these games were purely cosmetic, but if he saw someone playing with a skin he didn't have, then he'd still spend $10, $20, sometimes $50 to get it himself. When he was asked why he kept spending money on microtransactions, even when they didn't give a competitive advantage, Ken's Gold said, quote, "I think it stems from the fact that I had set a precedent in those mobile games that $100 isn't all that much. It's not a really big deal if I see that skin and I really want it because it looks awesome. And if I just drop $100, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get that kind of thing."
Ken's Gold no longer plays CSGO or Smite, and he made the decision to seek out help from a therapist to curb his spending addiction. He sold off his CSGO skin collection and put the money back into his bank account before making the decision to stay away from microtransactions for good. But the cold turkey approach has proven difficult for Ken's Gold, and there's been some games like Black Desert Online that he hasn't been able to play because of the microtransaction model. Ken's Gold is now trying to raise awareness of microtransaction addiction, and he posted an open letter to EA on Reddit explaining the dangers of microtransactions and the effect that they can have on people like him. Ken's Gold ended the Kotaku interview saying, quote, "It's not just a one-time purchase, it never is."
he's talking about this like it is a flat-out addiction, and that kind of says a lot. And this is his personal experience, and this is his personal interpretation of it. And then, certain people say that video games are addictive, and then there's a big argument about that. But this is the guy talking about buying these microtransactions and saying it felt like an addiction. He has gone cold turkey, so he just can't touch them anymore because he knows what will happen if he kind of opens that door again. So that is very serious, and he's written a letter to EA, an open letter to EA, and in the hopes that they'll read it. And obviously that's kind of been promoted on Reddit, and that's kind of sparked this conversation, and I guess that's where this interview's come from. He's had a torrid 6 years wasting his money on this shite, and then he's come out of it the other end thinking, damn, those are some hard life lessons that I've learned. I should share it with other people.
It's great that he's coming out now and trying to shed light and share his own experiences and just raise awareness by doing what he's doing and telling people about his experiences. Because when you're 13 years old, like he was when he started, you don't know right from wrong a lot of the time when it comes to money and like earning. It could be easy at that age to kind of create an addiction or just become addicted without even knowing it. Now, if we were talking about something like drugs or alcohol and considering the amount of money that he's put into these microtransactions, you would definitely say that, if you'd spend that much money on drugs or alcohol at that age, you would be addicted. But now, because there's this microtransactions in a video game, how is that any different? You're not able to stop yourself from spending all this money on this thing. So is that not addiction?
The big separator from this compared to other whales is that this guy wasn't like some kind of banker or whatever, or a lawyer who's got some downtime and just like plodding away at a game. He's got money to throw away. This is a kid with a part-time job. He is not old enough in the eyes of the law to buy alcohol or anything like that, because of the negative impacts of alcohol and even like cigarettes or whatever. Like, you're just not allowed to do it, but you are allowed to just throw money away on microtransactions. And I know that this sounds really preachy, but it's amazing that he was 13 years old and he started doing this, and look at the path it's led him down. And this is exactly what people are talking about when they're signing petitions, creating petitions, talking to their MPs about loot boxes, because this is the kind of damage that can be done from it. And I think this is what really separates this kind of video game whale from the rest of them. He was a kid and he spent 13 grand of his like teenage pocket money on f***ing microtransactions.
It kind of validates all the things that we've been saying recently in a few of our videos, like the dangers to kids and trying to raise awareness and things like that. And people speculate in our comments saying, oh, well, kids don't have access to that much money. It's not a problem. It's just adults that buy these microtransactions. This is first-hand experience, and I'm glad that he's coming out and saying this and sharing his story with people so that we can become aware. This is facts. This is a fact, okay? This isn't speculation like happens in the comments. This is exactly what happened to this guy, and he's feeling the repercussions because of decisions or non-decisions that he made when he was young. He probably never get over this addiction. If he ever spends a microtransaction again, he might be compelled to keep spending money. So that's something he's got to deal with now for perhaps the rest of his life. So it is preachy now, isn't it? We're getting very preachy, but I mean, this is good. This is a good thing for raising awareness for this type of topic.
That is the end of today's sermon. And talking of doing things you regret when you're a teenager, let's take a look at some of your comments.
Okay, first up on our Bungie video, John Hartman comments, Gareth is a moron. He's probably right, probably true.
Commenting on last week's Sunday show, Tom Doc 1014 says, winner, winner, Kung Pao dinner.
Talking about the Chinese version of Battlegrounds.
Right, okay. I was laughing out of like, what does that mean?
It's what you get when you win a round of Chinese Battlegrounds, obviously, Mike.
Right, yeah. If I'd won any Battlegrounds rounds, I might know that.
Commenting on one of our many loot box videos from this week, Mr. Fruity comments, Mike knows nothing about lube boxes because he never needed it. He makes the ladies wet enough already with his dirty microtransaction talk. Isn't that right, Mike?
Well, gosh. I mean,
embarrassed you now.
Because it's so close to the truth. And also commenting on Bungie's sneaky business video that we did this week. Tim Clark says, Destiny is trash, and so is this channel. Well, thanks for stopping by, Tim. You're probably not watching this if that's how you feel, but thanks for the feedback, and we'll try and do better, I suppose. Maybe we'll catch you again some other time.
I mean, I just sound to off, but that was quite nice, Mike. That was quite nice. Next up, commenting on our Chrissy Teigen slams Animal Crossing Pocket Camp video, the Spanish Inquisition comments, no one expects me.
I like these comments. When they're like,
The troll accounts. That.
They're just troll accounts, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just,
we've got Phil Spencer in our comments all the time.
Yeah,
That's correct.
top guy Phil Spencer, who's a friend of the channel at this point. The accounts that are just like, it is like a thing, you know, the aggressive pizza, you know, or is it the aggressive pizza?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
pizza's aggressive. He says that in every video. Yeah.
Aggressive,
and the one with, is that hard balls or something that talks about your...
My balls all the time.
Yeah.
Not even I am balls, just
Mike's balls.
My balls.
Mike's balls. That's all the comments. Mike's balls.
I should just keep it. I mean, it helps the engagement, I guess. And commenting on our other whale video from this week, Dane333 says, "Good video, lads. Keeping it real as always."
I like the pun in that one. That's special. It's awesome.
Is that? I feel like that should be on the sign on the way in. Just keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
I mean, if they could afford a sign.
Yeah, they probably can't. It's already vandalised before it gets put up in Rome.
Yeah, got the word cock on it somewhere. Just probably.
Yeah.
Maybe a drawing.
Yeah, don't ever go to Rome.
So there you go, it's another video about a whale. What do you think of this guy's story? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every single day. There's another video right there which you can watch right now, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.